Okay, everybody, welcome Kathy to Unbuttoned Podcast. Kathy is the owner of Boscal Beauty. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of
Excited to be
course.
here.
I know. Tell us to start, if anyone does not know, like Boscal or you as a person, give us a little bit of a rundown of like Boscal and you.
Okay. We'll start with Boscal.
Yeah.
So it is a facial bar med spa. So it's kind of unique in the sense that we do all of our skincare at the bar setting. So it's open, it's social, and then the medical services are performed in private rooms by the medical providers. And we like to say like we're just like a sleek contemporary take on the traditional mediclinical environment. We provide services from hydrofacials to lasers to Botox and filler, and all the things.
You guys do a really nice job at that because, I mean, obviously, I've been in a bunch and it does just feel so like relaxed. Like you don't feel like that nervous feeling. And like, as all of the providers are like super sweet, super nice. And you're right. I kind of like the feel of like, if you want to go with a friend, you can schedule a facial at the same time and still be in the same environment. And like, it's just a cute little space.
Yeah. So just, I want everybody to feel comfortable and welcome. We're very inclusive. Sometimes in the past, if I've gone to like, a dermatologist or a plastic surgery office, it feels sterile and clinical, and I feel like I need to be a rich old lady to be there.
Yeah, that is so true.
So that was my goal with Boscal, and I just love everything anti-aging and beauty, and combining that with, the science is...
I know, and I want you to talk about in a minute your background, but you said rich old lady, and it made me think of the best part about Boscal is that you guys have the beauty bank. So you like pay into it every month. And then when you go to get your service, if you have money in your beauty bank, you can use that. So if you're like not wanting your husband to see it on the credit card bill, you're like, just use my beauty bank.
Yeah, the beauty bank is something my husband came up with, and it's girl math completely.
100%.
But it really works. So we have 3,600 members last time I checked.
Yeah.
And so you put the $50 in, it's yours to spend. You don't lose it.
Right.
And for us, it was like, I think memberships are outdated. Like you don't want to pay to be a member of something, right, but it's more like a loyalty. So you bank your money with us and you spend it with us, and then we reward you. So it's gone over really well, so well that literally every med spa in town has copied us, actually.
Which is, I guess they say like, that's the best form of flattery,
sure.
But still I'm like, funny. But you guys definitely started that. And honestly, before I came to Boscal, I'd never heard of that. Like I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean?
I'm sure we weren't like the first people to do it, but probably the first in Columbus.
I was going to say locally, you were definitely the first people to do it, and it's genius.
Yeah,
literally
it's really
genius.
Because then, women will come in, and if they have, $200 in their beauty bank and their service costs $200 in their brain, they're like, oh my God, that was free. So I'm going to buy this.
Yeah, that's literally what I did when I texted you the other day. I'm like, I'm going to get the retinol. I'm going to get the skincare. I got like 6 things. And in my mind, I'm like, I just got that for free. I mean, I did it, but it felt like it.
$50 a month. It's just a small enough amount that you're just like, yeah. But when you come and you have, it's like, okay.
And it feels like a big treat. You're like, oh, look at that. I just got a treat, a free gift to myself that I paid for in the past.
Yeah, total girl math.
It was girl math before girl math was a thing.
Yeah.
Which is the best part about it. I'm like, wow, you guys could have coined that term a long time ago.
Yeah, if only we knew.
Yeah, what it was going to be. But okay, so you had mentioned like you like the science part about it. Kind of share your background with everybody. Before you started Boscal, what were you doing?
Yeah. So I'm a registered nurse. I'm from Canada. I started my career in Canada. I worked on a med surge floor in my hometown hospital for a small time.
Okay, I don't know that.
Yeah, I moved to Toronto, a bigger city, and I worked on a nephrology unit there, and I loved my job. I actually was like, I have the dream job.
Yeah.
And then I met Lance. We met at Lollapalooza in Chicago.
That's right. Okay, so you were in Chicago for Lollapalooza.
Yep.
Okay.
And so we started doing long distance, and he'd come to Toronto, I'd come to Columbus, and he asked me to move down here.
Okay.
And I loved my job, but I was like, sure. I loved Columbus. It was so much fun every time I came here. And so I got a travel nurse visa.
Okay.
Moved to Columbus. Spent the rest of my nursing career, well, not the rest, but sorry, like 7 years from there, working in the emergency room at Mount Carmel East.
Okay, Kathy, I never knew that. That for
Yeah.
7 years before you started Bosco, you worked at Mount Carmel East.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, it was wild. It was fun. I loved it. Looking back,
God, the ER, that had to be such a wild
yeah,
place.
lots of crazy things happened.
Yeah, I
I
bet.
wouldn't want to do it now.
Yeah. Different life
but
ago, I guess.
yeah. So, but it was good. It opened my eyes to a lot of things. It taught me a lot.
Yeah.
But I think, injectors, if they haven't, like ER nurses or people in the ER make great injectors because you have to have confidence.
Yeah.
And you have
Think
to
on
be
your
autonomous
feet.
and think on your feet.
Yeah.
And be a people person. And so, yeah.
That's so true. It's like probably every nurse is not built for the ER and every nurse is,
Totally.
like I never
Yeah.
thought about it like that until you
Yeah.
said that. And I'm like, yeah, certain people I feel like would not be cut out for
And
that.
same with aesthetics, actually. I've trained some nurses and then, they've worked for me and I had one leave because she's like, it's a lot harder than it looks, actually.
Oh, I'm sure.
And she's like, it's just really like personal, like,
Yeah.
because it's your work you're putting out there. So she felt very personally responsible. And sometimes like if she didn't think something looked amazing,
Right.
she'd be really hard on herself or.
That's I never thought about it, I guess, from the injector standpoint that like it is your work on people's faces, skin, body. And like if somebody asks you where you got something done, this or that, like they're going to probably tell you the place and the name. And like that's a reflection of like your work. So I could see people who are like big perfectionists too, like that would kind of eat you away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, Mount Carmel. And then while I was working at Mount Carmel, I really wanted to get my eyebrows microbladed.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like maybe 2017, and nobody in Columbus, Ohio was doing it.
I was literally just about to say, you're so ahead of the curve.
Well, that I could find. So, I'm from a bigger city, Toronto. So, my aunt, my sister, everybody at home had been, had their brows done.
Yeah.
So I really just was like, well, you know what? I want to take a course and I don't know, maybe it's a creative outlet, do this.
Yeah.
So I did, and I rented a studio, and I got super busy super quickly because, I was one of the first people in Columbus doing it.
Right.
And after a year, so I stayed on with the hospital, just contingent, picking up here and there.
Like part-time.
Yeah. And then after a year, I was, doing so well with the microblading, making more money than I was as a ER nurse.
Yeah.
But I was also getting bored of just providing one service. So
I could see that. It would get a little monotonous every day to be like just working on eyebrows.
Especially coming from the ER, you're used to something different every day.
True. That's a big change.
Yeah, but I really did love it. It was, meeting women, sitting with women. You're in a room for like 2 hours with them, and you're talking all things beauty, and then you're looking at their face, and you're looking at proportion and balance, and even if your face is all asymmetric, if your eyebrows are symmetric, everything just looks better.
Can literally change your life. I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous to say.
Yes.
Boss gal did my eyebrows. And I will never go back.
Yeah.
Like I truly will never go back. It changed my face. Like all I had to do was get my eyebrows microbladed and it completely changed the look of my face in a good way. Like
it's amazing what good eyebrows can do, but also bad eyebrows. They can make you look old.
Well, they
can make you look angry.
Yes. And before I had found out that you guys did the microblading of the eyebrows, I had gone somewhere else. She was lovely. She was great, but they faded really gray. And that is not really her fault.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like how your skin is.
Yeah.
But shape-wise,
and the pigments have developed over time and gotten better.
Yes.
But yeah, typically the warmth in the pigment is first to leave.
Yes.
So that's why it's not a one and done. There's maintenance.
That's what I was going
to
say.
You have to refresh them to bring back that warmth.
Right.
Yeah.
But I got them done most recently at Bosco, which is only my second time. And I'm truly never going back.
They look good.
Thank you. I know. They do.
Yeah.
Brittany did them there, and she did a
we have two artists, Brittany and Kayla. So.
Yes, she did great. And honestly, like I said, I actually probably should make an appointment with her soon to just get touched up. But like, I mean, I will never let them go.
So I would say no, but I don't know what they look like.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You probably have some makeup on.
Yeah, I have. Well, I was gonna say, and I do still use the gel to like gel up my normal, because this is the other thing that I feel like changed them is my eyebrows are straight across. There is absolutely no arch to them. And I hated that. I'm like, I don't need some like huge peak, but like a little shape,
a lift
to help them out.
Open
And she definitely did that. But I definitely still like, brush my eyebrows up just so that it's, blends in.
place and
Yeah, it
blends
plays well to
in.
it.
And the microblading looks the best when you have hair over top of it, right?
Yes.
You know, because it's like more, you want to fill it in.
Right.
If you go somewhere where you don't have hair, yeah, I mean, it's like a tattoo on the skin. Looks
Right.
most natural if you have hair to blend in with it.
Yeah. But for people who don't know, it is like strokes.
Yes.
It's not like they're like taking a big chunk across your eyebrow and you're going to look
Yeah, so
crazy.
there's different kinds. So microblading is like using a blade to kind of really scratch these like hair-like strokes and
that's
implant
honestly
the
what it feels
pigment.
like, just little paper cuts.
Yeah, little like almost like scratchy.
Yeah.
Like you can hear a little sound sometimes.
Yeah, but not painful.
It's not too bad. They use pretty good numbing. So.
Yeah, like it's bearable.
Yeah. And then so then there's powder brows, which is where they use a machine that looks more like a tattoo gun, and it's more of a powdery fill-in. So those are great for people that really just need a fill-in, you know, or people who like a more done makeup finish.
Okay.
And then
the first time I got combo, I think.
Combo, so some strokes with some filling in.
Yeah,
so.
which I don't know until this moment that I realized what that meant.
Yeah,
but
so
I
it's a combination of both.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then most recently, the latest technique is nano brows.
Okay.
And so it's where they, instead of using the blade to cut the skin and implant the pigment, they use the tattoo gun, and it's more gentle on the skin.
Okay.
And then the strokes don't tend to like blur, and they kind of like tend to get wider and kind of morph all together as it tends to fade. So it ages better.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we sent Kayla to Utah to learn this new technique.
Oh, that's cool.
And so she's just ruling it out.
So it's just the one provider now that does the nano brows.
Yes.
Is what it's called?
Yeah. But it's definitely, I feel like if you're new, it's probably what you want to do from the get-go.
Okay.
If you already have your brows microbladed, it's hard for the nano brows to show up if you have a lot of pigment there already.
You literally answered my next question. I was going to say, so what should we do to mine next?
Yeah. Well, you either have to let them fade a lot, but if you don't have the willpower to go through that process, because it can take a long time, then you can have a laser removal done.
I see.
And there's a spot we refer people.
Yeah.
But and then it lightens them up so that you can go over it with the strokes and they stand out.
Now, kind of just tell people how long that usually lasts, like the microblading, the nano.
Yeah. So the microblading, most people do like an annual touch-up.
Yeah.
That's pretty common. The nano brows, they last much longer. So you can probably go every 1 to 2 years without doing a touch-up. And the powder brows, they last even longer just because there's more saturation of color.
Makes sense.
So you might even go 3 years before touching them up. Or sometimes like the color's still there, but like you said, it's a little ashy, so it just needs to be neutralized.
And doesn't it make a difference based on like if you're putting like a retinol on and like it gets near it, like different facial?
So sun exposure, chemical peels, lasers, retinol, they all make your skin cellular turnover faster. So it can make it, because the pigment's implanted in the superficial layers of the skin. So if those are shedding quicker, then it can make it fade faster.
That makes sense. But anyone who's been curious about it and hasn't done it, do it, or at least go like for a consultation and see, because I think people get nervous thinking like, oh, I'm not tattooing my face. That's ridiculous. But it's not like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is kind of, but it's like under your eyebrow. It's not like you're putting a big
you want to definitely go where you've seen the people's work and you know what you're getting into and stuff, because there's definitely some crazy stuff out there. So, but that actually kind of transitioned into like where I went next with it, because I was like, okay, these women are letting me tattoo their face.
Right.
What else can I do?
Yeah.
Like that ties in, my nursing. And so I started taking courses on Botox and filler, and it was just like a light bulb went off and I just loved it. And so then I literally said to my husband, I want to open a med spa and I'm going to drain your 401k. And use our house as collateral and take out a loan and do that. And he was like, okay. And he supported me from the beginning.
I think that's the most amazing part of the story whenever I hear you tell it, is like that Lance was so supportive.
He was so on board.
That he was on board. He was willing to let you put the house as collateral, drain his 401k. Like you guys were in it, and he believed in you that much.
He did.
Which rightfully so, because it's been amazing. But
yes, it was a great risk. So.
It was definitely a risk, and like he was behind it. And then did Lance always work with you from the start, or did he kind of join on Boscow later? Yeah,
so Lance's background, he worked at the Express Home Office for like 22 years, and he was a merchandise planner. So he was in the numbers and that kind of stuff, spreadsheets, forecasting, and
My worst
not when I
nightmare, but
enjoy.
yeah.
But so he always helped me from the beginning in the sense that I managed my own schedule, but he helped me, do my quarterly
Sure.
taxes, set up my
Yeah,
LLCs,
like some back end
the
things
back end
that
of
people don't
things.
even realize are a thing with a
Exactly,
business.
until you have a business, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, damn, those quarterly taxes.
Uh-huh. Well, it's just like, even I'm sure you felt like this. Like, people will look at like a med spa or a retail store and they're like, I mean, what are you really doing all day? And you're like, all the
A
back end
lot. Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like, that
So,
takes
yeah.
time.
And so we always had, that relationship from the beginning. He
Yeah.
helped me, with the financial stuff and, and then so I always did, the social media in the front of the house and all that. And then it evolved. And, after a couple years, he was essentially doing 2 full-time jobs. He was working for Express full-time.
Oh,
And
so he
then,
stayed with Express first and was just doing both.
yeah. So
Okay.
COVID hit and, he was working from home.
Yeah.
And so he had a little flexibility there. And honestly, we were a little scared for him to leave his
Right.
job because he held the insurance.
Right.
And it was like that was,
That's a big leap. Right.
yeah. So after I think year 3, our financial guys finally like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like you're running yourself and you don't need to. Like,
Right.
you're okay. And he had to hear it from someone else,
Of course. Yeah.
So.
But that's honestly amazing that you guys got to a point where like even your financial advisor could be like, you don't need to run yourself amok. Like,
Yes,
you can
focus
do
on
this.
this.
Focus
This is,
on one
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So then he left Express and so he's my CFO. He, pays the bills. He does the payroll. He keeps the lights on. He does everything. He's kind of like HR, PR a little bit.
I love that.
He does all the software stuff because he's very techie.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a big
Like
role.
jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And those of you who have not met Lance, he's great. He's so nice, so personable. Like, he's probably just a great person to have on your team there.
Yeah. So
And I'm sure
we make a
people
good partnership.
Yeah.
He's like got the corporate professionalism, and I'm the one that like when something happens, I lose my shit and I'm dropping F-bombs, and he's like, yeah, you can't say that. And I'm like, okay, fine.
I am you. And Elizabeth has more of definitely the corporate side of her. And I'm like, okay, well, like, I just am. Yeah, I have
you
a hard
need somebody
time
to reel you in sometimes.
Yeah,
so
I was just
we
about to say it
balance each other
balances.
that way. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really neat. So did you have your daughter before you started Boss Scout then?
So Isla was 2.5.
Okay, so she was still really young when you started it.
Yes, and so my first business was called Boss Gal Brows because it was all brows. So I rented a studio, and she was like pretty little.
Yeah.
And
now, how did the name like Boss Gal in general come about?
We were driving to Canada to visit my family, and we just took out the LLC and we called it Columbus Microblading, and we were trying to come up with the name of the business and something brows. And I don't know, it just kind of rolled off the tongue, Boss Gal Brows. And then we looked at each other and we're like, that's it.
Yeah.
So
it really does roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
Like, you think of it quickly, like Boss Gal.
Yeah. And then
I feel like everyone wants to be a Boss Gal.
Well, and honestly, that's when it was like at the height of that term, you know? So, and then when it evolved from the brow business to the med spa, we were going to rebrand it something totally different.
Okay.
But all my current clients were like, no, you got to keep the Boss Gal part.
I love it. I love that it's Boss
So
Gal.
we were like, okay, so
It's like empowering in a weird way. Like, you feel like you go there and you're like, yeah, I'm a part of something that's like big and Boss Gal. Like, that's amazing.
Too. Yeah, I want you to feel empowered.
Yeah, which I think
like,
it does.
If you don't, love something about yourself, then you can always do something to feel good. Look good, do good, feel good.
Okay, yes.
Look good, feel good, do good is my whole thing.
Look good, feel good, do good. That's amazing. I like that little mantra. Look good, feel good, do good. And I think that's so important. I think that there is always this like stigma out there about like quote unquote getting work done and thinking that you're going to look like this frozen old woman who's had a bad facelift
100%.
or something. But I think that the key and the great part about Boss Gal is you guys, I've never seen somebody who's gotten work done with you where you're like, oh my God, they've had a lot of work done. Like, it's a very natural enhancement to people's current looks.
So I always say go to like pick an injector that aligns with your own style. So like, if you like the way I look, come to me. You know, I always tell people this. My goal is when I see people from high school, they go, oh my God, you look the exact same.
Yeah.
So I want to be Cindy Crawford, and I just want to maintain, subtly improve, but I want to look like myself. So, and that's my goal aesthetically. And all of my providers, we all feel the same, and the aesthetic industry is tough because it is sales. And sometimes people will just say yes because they want to make that sale. But it's like you have to know when to say no to somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Because like we said earlier, ultimately it is your name on the line too.
Your reputation.
Your
that's
reputation.
Right.
Like you don't want someone leaving there looking crazy as much as they don't want to look crazy.
Like there are people that do like a certain look, and there are other places in town that are known for that.
Right.
You know? So, you know, and I have some clients that want a really big lip, and I'm like, yeah, sure, and they can pull it off, you know?
Yeah.
And I always say that to them, like, what's your goal?
Yeah.
If you want to look natural, we shouldn't do this because you're going to start to look enhanced. But if
Right.
if that's your goal and that's what you want,
which I feel like the honesty is like key. Like if you're saying like, yes, they're gonna look bigger than your face probably has proportion for, like, I will do it, but my advice would be to maybe not do them as big, but we can do a,
Yeah, and if that's how you like it, and I just want you to understand, like, when you look at some people, you're like, did she, didn't she? It's gonna be like, oh yeah, she had her lips done,
Right.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
It just depends.
I also think it just depends on the person.
Yeah.
Like I have had my lips done, and at Boscal I've had them done, but I had like, my mom used to joke and call them paper cuts because they were like nothing.
We call them sliver lips.
Okay, sliver lips. I like that. Sliver lip paper cuts.
Yeah.
I mean, I had nothing. And like when I would smile, it was like, would roll under.
Yeah. And you're self-conscious, or you
Always.
want a lip to put some lipstick on.
That's all I wanted. My mom used to always be like, put some color on your lips. I'm like, I can't. There's no lip to put color on. And I just always wanted to wear lipstick.
Yeah,
I was like, I know that sounds crazy, but like, I want to wear lipstick. And I think that you're right. Like I could see how people get carried away once they start, but I feel like having a good injector who's going to tell you, this is a good stopping point.
Yep.
This is.
And to be honest, the industry is evolving. So, the days of, everybody morphing into a Kardashian, that's not what people want. But for a while that was, you know, and it was like, it's because you could. So some people did. But right now, I just feel like in general, the beauty industry and aesthetics, it's geared more towards natural.
Yeah.
So, and that's nice.
Which, I think it's like comforting for people to know that who have never tried to get anything that
you won't look crazy if you just get Botox or if you just do your lips once.
Right.
It's in order to get that crazy look, they're doing multiple syringes over multiple visits.
Right.
And, it's. Yeah.
They're building on it. It's not like they left the first time and looked like that.
No.
So if somebody was going to come into Boscal and they were very nervous, they've never had anything done, no fillers, no Botox, no lips, no brows, nothing, where would you tell somebody to start for feeling most natural but enhancing their look to feel a little bit refreshed?
So this is what I say to all my providers is you have to ask them, what is your goal and what do you want to enhance? So the big question I say to some people sometimes just to get the ball rolling is if you had a magic wand, you could wave your magic wand, what would you change about your face?
Right.
And sometimes it's just as simple as, my pores, pigmentation. Okay, great. Let's start there.
Yeah.
But if it's like fine lines and wrinkles, okay, so then maybe we want to do a laser treatment or, do some Sculptra. And then, I kind of feel them out. Like, are you interested in injectables? Because not everybody wants to do injectables, and that's fine too, right? So let's do some microneedling. There are some people that are like, I like to do things very natural. So microneedling is great because it's your body repairing itself.
I have done microneedling with you guys one time, and I had not done it before, and I was a little nervous because I was like, what's it going to really do? It was amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little underrated.
Yeah, microneedling is great. It's called collagen induction therapy. So in our early 20s, we stopped producing collagen type 1 and 3, and there's lots of different types of collagen. So this is different from the collagen that you get in powdered forms and all that stuff. And so this is a controlled injury microneedling. They numb you, and then they go over your face with these little tiny needles and into the dermis, and it triggers this like inflammatory response, and basically your body repairs itself and starts to produce collagen type 1 and 3, and then what that does is it makes your skin thicker, denser, stronger, tighter. So it's really good for acne scars, which is fine lines and wrinkles.
Yes, I had a lot of acne scarring, which I still have a buildup of things to get rid of it, but it really did help. And I think that why I was so worried before was I was afraid it was going to be like tons of downtime. Like a week I couldn't leave the house. And I was like,
everybody's skin's a little different. Most people, the day of, they look a little red.
Yes.
The next day, they look like they had a mild sunburn, but you can wear makeup and go back to work.
Which I did not expect you guys to say that, like, the next day I could wear makeup and go back to work. I was like, oh, wait.
Yep. I usually say, but 12 hours later, you can put your makeup on. Those little channels have closed, so you're not at risk for infection or anything. And then, some people, though, who have a lot of redness in their skin, they can have a longer downtime. But the radio frequency microneedling that we do has virtually no downtime, which is nice. So if somebody was concerned about downtime, I would recommend doing the radio frequency microneedling. They get that radio frequency heat energy.
Yeah.
So it's an enhanced treatment as well.
Yeah.
So, but there is like virtually no downtime. Like the next day, your skin looks amazing.
And I was obsessed. And I was like, okay, I could get real addicted to doing this one to make my skin look good. But then, of course, Elizabeth came in with the Sculptra. And at first I was like, I don't know if it did anything. And then now when I look at pictures of her before, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I love the picture of her pinching her cheek because that really demonstrates what it does.
Yeah.
So, it's making the skin thicker, denser, stronger, tighter. Yeah. But she looks like herself.
And I think that's the best part about it is it happens over time. And so it's not like you come in the next day and everyone's like, whoa. With their face, like it took a while, and then now that I look at her skin, I'm like, oh my gosh, that really did make a huge difference in like a really good way.
Skin quality, skin health. So as we age, we lose volume, and that's where fillers come in, is replacing volume loss. But and sometimes you might want to do a combination of both, some filler and some Sculptra. But Sculptra is just a little more natural because it's your body just repairing itself and stimulating that collagen. But it looks very natural.
It does. It looks great. We were just in here actually with Erica talking about it. And we were saying, we're like, oh my gosh, I feel like that is like revolutionary.
Yeah, I feel like right now Sculptra is really big. And of course, lasers. Mm-hmm. There will always be a place for fillers, replacing the volume, enhancing the under eye and the lip and things like that. And sometimes, like I said, in combination. But that's kind of, I think the trend in aesthetics right now is more healthy skin and natural aesthetic.
Well, and I think it just ebbs and flows. Like I remember at one point, like really big lips were in, and now it's like a natural looking lip is like the thing to go for. So you guys do a great job keeping like a...
Yeah, I try to keep up on, going to conferences and, staying up to date on the latest techniques. And this industry is rapidly evolving. I mean,
I know.
And there's a lot of BS, okay? So you got to filter through, like, what is marketing and what really works. And some of these studies are paid for by the companies, and you have to really look at the study because it could just be fluff, So
that's so true. And we always joke in here, we're like, when in doubt, we'll just text Kathy and ask her, because I'm like, one, she either does it, and if she doesn't, then she probably thinks it's a load of like BS.
And
so we know that we're not going to do it.
I don't do it because I want to wait and see. So like, for example, the Ozempic thing.
Yeah.
So we didn't bring it on because I was like, okay, it almost sounds too good to be true.
Right.
The studies were kind of like pushed through, done quickly. I'm like, I want to wait and see. And, it's been a few years now. And I think for a lot of people, it's done an amazing thing for a lot of people. And so it's something that we'll probably likely bring on with Boss Gal. But what we've decided is we want to make it more of a lifestyle. So not just like take this magic shot and lose weight, but like use this shot as a tool to help you. But let's talk about nutrition and fitness as well. Right. And kind of take it that route.
That.
So,
which is helpful in the long run, because it's like if somebody's...
you need to maintain it.
Right. Right. And then it's kind of looking just at the whole body, not just, one little injection and then you're done.
Because if you decide to stop it, then you don't want to rebound and go back to where you were. So
right. Which is so important, because I think that you said like it's done well for a lot of people. And I think that there was, when it was new, nobody knew about it. And everyone was like, why? Like, I can't imagine doing that, or I can't see how that's like healthy or whatever. But, as time goes on and studies come out, it's like,
and it's not healthy too, is being morbidly obese and having high blood pressure and diabetes. So this can help with that. So
exactly,
there's obviously side effects of this medication, and it's not a candidate for everybody. So it requires seeing a medical professional and getting a health screen and all that stuff. Yeah. But I really do think it's a good thing that can help a lot of people.
I do too. I think that's amazing. And like I said, you guys always like have all the info. I had texted Kathy at one point because I said, I feel like my hair's thinning. Can we do something about that? And I'm like, I'm still going to come in for that.
There's always something.
There's always something.
I'll use you as a model. I have a new nurse practitioner who needs
Love it.
a model for the scalp injections, PRP.
There you go.
So.
She can use my scalp all she wants to model that. I will sign right on up for that. But okay, so we obviously have like covered like, you know, some of the amazing things that Boscal does and the growth of Boscal. But share with us a little bit about maybe some setbacks or challenges that you had along the way. Because I know that when people talk about starting a business, you know, we tend to talk about the good stuff and everyone's like, oh, okay, that like has to be easy, or like they didn't put that much work into it. But like you just don't see the like
Sure.
that side of it.
I mean, I feel like I could write a book.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, there's just been so many things that have happened, and really owning a business makes you step out of your comfort zone, and you like have to have awkward conversations. You have to, you know, it's just I'm learning as I go. I'm still learning, right? So, you know, we have 4 locations, 66 employees, and it's getting easier because you know, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. Sometimes it feels like it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Right.
Yeah, it can be really hard. I mean, you know, when I first opened Boscal, like I tell people this, like for a year and a half, I worked 6 days a week, open to close, and I didn't take a single day off.
Yeah.
And my daughter was 3 years old at that time. You know, so like it was hard.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I did it because I loved it.
Right.
I believed in it, but like not everybody's willing to do that.
I think that's such a true thing to say. And we feel that too. Like, you know, we're only on year 3, but really we just got this space last year. And that's when we really were able to like work full time with it and spend time. And we do spend a lot of time here. And it's because we like feel so passionate about it. And like the work will one day pay off where you don't need to do that. But it is like a hustle. There is a lot of hard work involved.
You know, like where I'm at in the business now, I'm so fortunate because I have a great team of people that help me. So I don't have to do everything anymore. So my life has gotten easier, but it's taken a lot of time to get there. It doesn't happen overnight, you know? So, and then finding and hiring the right people is crucial. People you can trust. I mean, I've been screwed over. I've had a manager that embezzled money from me. I've had a physician that screwed me over. You know, like
that's so crazy to think that like, and it's so true when you go to hire someone, it's like you have a conversation and like, you know, you may have a few conversations before you hire them, but it's like you don't really know someone's character until you get to know them more. So it's a hard risk to take when you hire someone.
Yeah. I think I've gotten a little bit better at screening people. I'm like I do think I can sense, you know, somebody's personality and
I good intuition.
And when I interview somebody, I want to know more about the person because I can train you.
Right.
You know, like
that's
most
so
people,
true.
like if you love what you're doing, you're trained. And that's just it. Are you trainable? Are you coachable? Because not everybody's open to feedback too.
That is right. Like you may be great, but if you can't take either like constructive criticism or work with a team or like that's.
I mean, we have one esthetician and she came to us straight out of esthetician school, which I will hire you with no experience, you know, as long as like you're
like
willing to
you got to get a start somewhere. Yeah.
And she's one of our best estheticians. And part of it is because like we do monthly one-on-one coaching with each provider in the business. So you sit down, we go over the metrics, we talk about their goals. You know, what's your goal? You want to get promoted, then you need to hit these metrics.
Yeah.
We encourage them. It's mutually beneficial.
Right.
But we will tell her scripting, like, you know, because people get nervous and, you know, and she was just really good at repeating what we tell her to repeat. And she's one of our best estheticians. You know what I mean? So she was good. She was coachable.
Yes. Which is so important. And then those type of people in turn down the line are great at coaching other people because they were so coachable.
Yeah.
So I feel like
and that's just it. Other people will be like, "Oh, why is she doing so well and bonusing so much?" And I'll say, "Well, because she does X, Y, Z. So if you did that too, you'd be the same."
Right. Yeah. No, that's so true.
But at Boscal, what it comes down to is we're always come from a place of education.
Right.
Always recommend what you think is the best treatment option.
Yeah.
And then work with somebody, whatever their budget may be, because these services are expensive.
Yeah.
And,
They are, but I think you guys have done a nice job at keeping it at like a standard price that like is, it's not like you go to Bosco and you're like, whoa, they were way priced above everybody, but yet you get an amazing service. And you guys also have the beauty bank, which is such a
we always
financial
say,
help to
like,
people.
we don't want to be the cheapest date in town,
Right.
And, certain services you pay a premium for if you see, a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon, and that's because, that's not their bread and butter, and
Right.
they can make more money doing other things. But
so they need to upcharge it because...
Yeah, but I always say, the person that's doing what you're going for all the time is the expert. So, but yeah, we just, we try to be in the middle, you know,
I think
aware
you guys
of
do a
what
great
the
job with
market
that.
is and,
Yeah, because that's
middle of the
another good
road.
point. You don't want to be the cheapest one because then it's like, what kind of reputation... What's the like quality of service you're really going to get?
Right. Or your clientele, right? If you
Exactly,
have somebody
yeah.
who is a Groupon person and they're just always looking for a deal or, so. But we, spend a lot of investment in our providers. We spend a lot of time with like education and probably, more than most spas.
I think you guys do a great job of that, like the education piece and like educating your staff, even just like your customers. You guys do a great job of like...
Or empowering them to make a decision. And
Right.
so just saying like, I know sometimes, you go into an office and they're like, you need this.
Yeah.
And they don't explain to you why.
Right.
So,
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a few like rapid questions and you tell me what you do. What is one thing that you would never do personally to your face?
oh, wow, I've done like everything.
Which is so funny because you look at your face and you're like, it is so natural and like you would not look at you and think like...
I would say like anything I offer at Bosco, I've done to myself.
Yeah.
I always...
Which
am
I
the
feel like is
tester.
fair.
What would I not do? Okay, let me think here. I mean, I can't even say that. So, I did it.
I would do it all,
I was going to say, liquid nose job is really risky, but I did that. I had that. Let me think here. We don't do those at Boscal because they are risky. But let me think. What else would I not do?
Yeah, I've always been dying to have a nose job.
I don't think I would do like a lip implant or
oh my God, I didn't even realize people like, I guess I didn't think about that. People are putting like a full-blown implant, not
but
just...
I totally would do like a facelift, a neck lift.
I would too.
Yeah, when the time's right.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it now, but like...
Yeah,
I think that's fair. I know. I
would almost try anything once.
Yeah. I know I would too. I'm like, it's kind of bad of me. Yeah, that's fair. When you said liquid nose job, I really have always wanted a nose job. And not like here. I've always wanted my nostrils tucked, but that's like hard to find anyone who's actually like really reputable to do it because it affects your breathing, which can affect like how your heart pumps blood and, deep into it. So I've given up that, but I was like, I guess I'd say that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like your nose suits your face, but I get it.
It's and it's not even so much my nose. It's just like, I have very like long Italian nostrils and I'm like, okay, relax on the nostrils. But one day, we always joke here because if something like hits me in the face or something, like one time Tracy was like, oh my God, that could have broken your nose. And Elizabeth's like, she hopes it does.
Right?
I'm like, yeah, I've been asking since I played soccer my whole childhood. Someone just whack me in the face with a soccer ball. But, that would hurt. So, yeah. Okay, so you try probably anything once.
Yeah, pretty
What
much.
is your favorite thing that you feel like you probably will not let go of?
Okay, so I say to people, if I had to choose one service to do for the rest of my life and only one service ever, I think it would be BBL. Now, Sculpture comes in a close second.
Okay.
But so the BBL targets reds and browns, so sun damage and rosacea, broken capillaries. And it also stimulates collagen because it's got that heat energy. And there's some this physics is well beyond my knowledge, but it turns off some aging gene. So
crazy.
Yes. So it makes your skin look super healthy. And I always tell people there's, if you look at before and after pictures of people who've done BBL for 15, 13, 18 years, they always look better the many years later than they did when they started.
For those who don't know BBL is a laser.
Yes.
And I only say that because when I first heard someone say that, I literally thought it was people talking about getting butt implants.
So I was telling
and I was like, people are doing this?
This summer I was in the pool with my daughter and one of her friends' moms, and I was telling her, oh yeah, I just had a BBL or whatever,
Yeah.
and my daughter goes, you had a Brazilian butt lift?
Yes, that's literally what I thought people were saying at first.
Obviously not.
Yeah, you're like, you can see me in my bathing suit.
BBL's a laser. So
Yes.
to be precise, BBL is broadband light, so it's actually not a laser; it's light therapy. But
okay.
anyways, it
Yeah.
gets tossed in that category.
Okay, that makes
But
sense.
yeah, so
that makes sense. And for those, do you get numbed for BBL, or BBL is the one that you don't get numbing for?
So we don't do numbing for BBL because part of like the endpoint, the clinical endpoint is your, like, if it hurts too much, we need to know, because then the laser is probably too high.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense. Yeah.
that laser targets pigment, and if you have a suntan, for example, you could potentially burn. So we need to know that key indicator, like your pain level, and yeah.
Do you have to have a certain type of skin to get a BBL?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So yeah, obviously the more pigment you have, the laser can be dangerous. So you can't, we call it Fitzpatrick 6. You can't be African American or really, really dark skin, because that laser targets pigment and it would burn you.
Don't forget your 10% off code with the shop, and we will talk to you guys next week.